How to make an offer? What are the downfalls and risks?
Yeah, sure thing. Now, that's one of the key initial steps of moving towards acquiring a property, securing a property.
Hmm.
One has to have a simple and basic but essential understanding of how to make sure that the offer that you make does not bind you into a binding contract. Now, some people, what they do is they sign a contract. And in Western Australia, it's quite problematic to understand what's a contract because some of them are only a couple of pages long, a few pages long. It's a relatively straightforward jurisdiction in Western Australia. So an offer should be made um, orally or by written communication, but should not be signed because once you sign the contract, um, there are many steps you can do, many inquiries you can undertake in a property that gets ruled out because once you have a binding contract, then it's not up to negotiations anymore. So
Hmm.
key step is don't sign. And
Hmm.
obviously there are other things I'll cover very soon.
Okay, cool. The next question is very important. It's about the title. So, because we have to be pretty sure about what is on the title, because when we do the due diligence of the property, what we have seen in the tools that whether the property has any restrictive covenants, easements, or any restrictions. But title is the Bible of the property, and that's when we have to read in between the lines. So, I would like to know more about how to read the title.
Yeah, sure thing. So firstly, to start, the question is what is a title? Should be addressed as well. Um, a title is a document that describes the ownership of the property, describes the property, describes the ownership, who owns it, and under what conditions, and describes any other encumbrances. The word encumbrances means burdens or issues or notifications on a title.
Hmm.
Um, some are problematic more than others. So for the sake of the example, if you look at a property and you look at the title, it shows that the owners are there, same as the contract. There's no surprise there. It shows there's a mortgage on the title.
Mhm.
It means that the owners have basically have a mortgage existing. That's it's okay to have a mortgage on the title because what you do is you discharge it, you release it when you have the property transferred to you after you purchase it. But there are other things to be aware of that don't really get released or discharged. These are easements. So an easement is a right of way. That's the legal definition of it.
Hmm.
What it means is oftentimes your neighbors and sometimes other government authorities have the right of way through your property, the property that you're going to purchase. So example is if the property next to you cannot access the sewer pipe on the other side of your property, they can go through your property,
Hmm.
extending a pipe into there. Sometimes it's an access way. So if there's no way out, there's a block corner, and then there's no way out for them to walk through there, then they have the right to go there. And this right is proprietary in nature. Proprietary in nature means that it's also kind of ownership.
Hmm.
It has the same meaning. That's an easement. There are many levels to it as well. There are restrictions that are on the title. Some of these restrictions relate, it's called positive and negative restrictions. Positive restrictions require you to do something. So a positive restriction could be for you to maintain the stormwater tanks or systems, or do any other things. Negative restrictions don't allow you to do a certain thing. Um, some of these could be as basic as saying you cannot leave your laundry outside visible from the street, to
Hmm.
more complicated to you saying you cannot do any variation to the property, you cannot rebuild, or you cannot extend the property to the left of it. Depends on the terms of the restrictions. There are other things to look at in the title. Um, it's quite a complicated topic. Um, Sometimes people register interest on the title, meaning that if you owe me money and then we sign the contract, Julius, and you're refusing to pay that money, I can go and register, let's call it a caveat on, or it could be even a mortgage on the property, and that prevents you from selling it. And if someone signs a contract and gets bound into a property that they cannot acquire free of these encumbrances, these problems or issues with it on the title, it creates further complications. These are they're called caveats, or there's something called a priority notice as well, which is it's been recently introduced in the past 7 years or so. These are the key things to understand when you look at the title. There are many